Hey there, night owls. Welcome to the Voice of Darkness. I'm thrilled you've joined me on this journey into the unknown. Before we dive in, let me know, where in the world are you tuning in from tonight? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see just how far our darkness reaches. Chapter 1. The Crumbling Mansion. Hidden deep within the congested, winding lanes of Shah Almi Bazaar, where the scent of spices mingles with the rust of forgotten trade, lies a ruin that no one dares speak of aloud after dusk. Between tightly packed shops and leaning walls, veiled in shadows and soot, stands a blackened skeleton of what was once a haveli of grand stature. Now, it leans like an old secret waiting to be remembered. To the curious, it is just an old house, burned and broken, another relic of Lahore's many centuries. But to those who have lived long enough in Shah Almi, it is something else. They do not call it by any formal name. Instead, they whisper its title in passing, almost apologetically, Lal Chatri Wali Haveli, the mansion of the red canopy. Once, its rooftop was said to glisten with crimson tiles imported from Persia, a dome so brilliant it caught the morning sun like a ruby. Intricate wooden balconies wrapped around the facade, carved with vines and peacocks, now charred and broken. Windows that once glowed with warm lamplight now stare out like hollow eyes, dark and unblinking. Children are warned not to go near. Shopkeepers avert their gaze as they pass, pretending not to notice the strange chill that emanates from its gate. Even stray dogs, who fear nothing, refuse to linger near the mansion's crumbling threshold. There is no official record of what happened within its walls. The municipal office lists it only as abandoned after fire damage. But in tea houses and alley corners, the whispers persist. Something lives there still. Something left behind when the fire died. The haveli does not sleep. And every month, when the date reads the 23rd and the clock nears 2 in the morning, the wind around Shah Almi thickens. The shadows lean inward. And from the burnt stone and cracked foundation, the ghost of the haveli draws breath once more. Chapter 2. Zohra, Mistress of Talismans. Long before the fire blackened its walls, the Lal Chatri Wali Haveli was not feared, it was revered. At the heart of its mystique was a woman known to all as Zohra. Neither young nor old, neither rich nor poor, she was wrapped always in layers of cotton and mystery, her eyes sharp as steel and her voice no louder than a whisper. Yet people came from miles to hear her speak. She was not a healer by training. No certificates adorned her walls. But those who were turned away by hospitals, plagued by misfortunes, haunted by shadows they could not name, they found her. And more often than not, they left her haveli lighter, changed. Zohra was known for her tuis, talismans she hand-stitched in dim candlelight, threads dipped in ink and prayers, sometimes sealed in wax, other times tied with bone. Her remedies were not of this world. It was said she never asked for money. She only asked for a name, and a drop of sweat from the afflicted. More troubling, perhaps, were the tales that followed. Rumors spoke of her conversing with jinns, not in madness, but in ceremony. Neighbors claimed to hear foreign tongues late at night, not of any human dialect. Lights would flicker across the dome, though no candles were lit. At times, the air around the haveli grew unbearably hot, though it was winter. She never denied the whispers. In fact, she never explained anything at all. When asked how she cured what others could not, she would simply say, "I only ask," and they answer. Who they were, no one dared inquire further. Even children grew silent when passing by the gates. Something about Zohra made the world bend slightly around her. Time felt slower in her presence. And when she fixed her gaze upon you, it was as if she looked not at your face, but at your soul. She was feared, yes, but more than that, she was respected. Until the night the fire came. Chapter 3. The Fire with No Flame. It happened without warning. No lanterns flickered. No lightning tore the sky. There was no monsoon storm or forgotten ember. And yet, on a humid night thick with silence, the Lal Chatri Wali Haveli caught fire. Witnesses still speak of it, though none will meet your eye when they do. They say it began just past 2 in the morning, the 23rd of the month. The air had been unnaturally still, as though the entire bazaar held its breath. Then, from the upper floors of the Haveli, a glow began to pulse, soft at first, like a hearth warming. Then it grew. But the flames weren't right. There was no orange hue, no crackle, no smoke. Instead, the fire flickered with a bluish sheen, dancing soundlessly across the windows and dome. It licked the walls without consuming them at first, as though it was tasting, choosing. Then came the scream. One long, unbroken cry, a woman's voice, filled with fury and agony, rising from the very bones of the Haveli. Some swear the cry wasn't just heard but felt, deep in the spine, in the teeth. Windows shattered. Birds fled the rooftops. Dogs howled and cowered under carts. And still, no one dared approach. They say Zohra was inside that night, alone. She did not call for help again. No one saw her flee. No body was ever recovered. By morning, the upper floors had collapsed, the dome shattered, and the once glorious carvings were black as coal. But strangest of all, not a single building around the Haveli had burned. The fire had not spread, not even to the dry wooden stalls leaning against its gate. It had only touched the Haveli, as if summoned, or sent. The fire brigade found nothing but ash and stone. No accelerants. No cause. No explanation. Only one thing was certain, the fire did not come from above, but from within. And though the flames had vanished, their presence lingered, a warmth beneath the rubble, like coals that had never cooled. The Haveli had been devoured. But Zohra's story was only beginning. Chapter 4. The Date That Returns. Time moved on, but the Haveli did not. Months passed, and while the shops of Shah Almi reopened and life returned to its relentless bustle, the mansion stood like a wound that refused to heal. Its scorched walls loomed over the alley like a warning. Children crossed themselves when passing by. Elders muttered verses under their breath. But it wasn't just memory that clung to the ruins, it was something alive. The first signs were subtle. A passerby, out late, swore she saw light flickering behind the empty windows. Another claimed to hear footsteps echoing on stairs that no longer stood. Cats hissed at invisible things. Street lamps near the mansion began to flicker, precisely once a month. And always, on the same night. The 23rd. At exactly 2:13 a.m., a mist began to rise from the ruins, but it was not smoke. It was too thick, too dark. It crept over the bricks like oil, coiling through the iron gate and reaching toward the street. Some claimed it carried the scent of burning cloth. Others said it smelled of rosewater, and something older. And then came the voice. Soft at first, like breaths slipping through dry leaves, but unmistakably real. Khan hai, mera naam lena wala? It wasn't a question meant to be answered. It was a test. Those who dared whisper Zohra's name after midnight, even from a distance, often regretted it. One man lost his voice for a week. Another woke to find claw marks down his door. A boy who dared to shout her name as a joke was found shaking the next morning, his hair turned ghost white. Now the rules are clear. On the 23rd, after midnight, speak no names. Stay indoors. Draw your curtains. Say no prayers aloud. And above all, never acknowledge the Haveli if you hear it calling. Because the fire may be gone, but she still burns. Chapter 5. The Vlogger Who Didn't Believe. His name was Rayhan Malik, 24, confident, loud, and proud of it. With a camera in hand and a growing YouTube following, Rayhan made a living chasing urban legends across Pakistan. Haunted caves, cursed wells, silent graveyards, all just content to him. Clicks and comments. Nothing more. So when he first heard of Lal Chatri Wali Haveli, he laughed. Ghost stories for bored shopkeepers, he said in one of his teaser clips. Let's see what Zohra has to say to me. Locals warned him, of course. A chaiwala near the haveli crossed himself 3 times just hearing her name. One woman even spat on the ground and begged him not to go. But Rehan thrived on this kind of drama. He called it free marketing. He arrived on the night of the 23rd, just after 1:45 a.m. Perfect timing, he said, for maximum paranormal activity. Dressed in black with a chest-mounted camera, Rehan stepped over the rusted gate and into the ruins, narrating as he moved. People say this place catches fire without flames, that if you say her name, she answers you. He chuckled. Let's find out. The footage, which later surfaced briefly on his channel before disappearing, begins to unravel quickly. At exactly 2:13 a.m., the screen begins to flicker. The camera's night vision shows shadows shifting in unnatural ways. Then, a sudden gust of wind. Rehan shivers. He speaks again, mockingly. If you're really here, Zohra, show yourself. A pause. Then static. The camera catches a glimpse, a woman in a red veil, standing at the edge of a collapsed corridor. Her face hidden, her presence still. She does not walk. She drifts. Rehan turns. The figure raises one arm, slowly, impossibly long, reaching for the lens. The screen goes black. He never came home. The next morning, the police found his phone near the ruins, melted and warped. And Rehan? Only his face was found, charred beyond recognition, like it had kissed a furnace. Chapter 6. The Glimpse of the Red Veil. The footage was only 38 seconds long. Downloaded by a fan before it vanished, it spread like wildfire through the hidden corners of the internet, forums, private WhatsApp groups, late-night Reddit threads titled, "She's real." Many claimed it was fake. Clever editing. Good effects. A marketing stunt. But those who watched closely knew better. The video begins with Rehan adjusting his camera, joking about the smell. Like burnt cloth and roses. He pans across the blackened courtyard, stepping over shattered bricks and melted beams. His voice, so confident earlier, begins to lower. There's something in the way he breathes. Tight. Uneasy. Then the clock hits 2:13 a.m. The audio warps. The temperature drops. His lens fogs briefly. And that's when it happens. In the far corner of the frame, just past the remains of a broken staircase, something moves. Slowly. Silently. A figure. Draped in red. She doesn't walk like the living. She glides, her feet invisible beneath the folds of her veil. The crimson cloth billows gently, though there is no wind. Her head tilts slightly, as if studying him. Watching. And then, the eyes. 2 hollow voids, entirely black, visible just beneath the edge of her veil. Empty and endless. Eyes that do not reflect the light, they swallow it. Rehan doesn't speak. His mouth opens, but no sound comes out. Then the figure lifts her arm. The hand is wrong. Elongated. Fingers jointed like they belong to something not meant to be seen. It stretches toward the camera, not lunging, just reaching. The screen distorts. The last image is her hand just inches from the lens, her veil flickering like flame. And then darkness. The video ends without a scream. Only silence. What came next, no one saw, only the aftermath. But the frame, that final glimpse, has been studied, slowed, enhanced. And in the corner of her veil, stitched in black thread, one word is barely visible. Zohra. Chapter 7. What Remained. Morning came as it always does, indifferent to the horrors of the night. Vendors rolled up their shutters. Crows returned to the rooftops. The old city stirred awake, unaware, or perhaps pretending not to notice, that something had gone terribly wrong in the night. It was a fruit seller who found the phone. Melted at the edges, screen cracked like old glass, it lay just outside the gates of the Lal Chatri Wali Haveli. The plastic had warped as if it had been pressed against a furnace. Yet strangely, the ground beneath it was cool. Unburnt. The phone was quickly handed to police, who dismissed it as another vlogger prank, until they discovered what else had been found 2 streets away, in the early hours of dawn. Rayhan's body was never recovered in full. Only his face, or what was left of it, remained. Wedged beneath an old handcart, his skin had blackened and peeled, features twisted beyond recognition. It looked less like a man's face, and more like a mask scorched in ritual fire. There were no fingerprints. No signs of struggle. No blood. Just that awful expression, frozen horror, mouth open in a scream that would never be heard. The autopsy report never made it to the public. But a whisper from the mortuary assistant made it into local gossip. The eyes were gone. Not cut. Not burned. Gone. As if they'd never been there. After that day, the Haveli was sealed once again, not by law, but by fear. No one dared walk near it, even during daylight. Shopkeepers hung amulets over their doors. Children were forbidden to speak its name. And in every chai stall and smoke-filled back alley, one question returned like a heartbeat. Did she take him? No one answered. Because everyone already knew. Rayhan hadn't just entered a haunted place. He had disturbed something waiting. And once Zohra looks upon you, she does not look away. Chapter 8. Say her name, if you dare. The Haveli still stands. Blackened stone. Shattered dome. Rusted gates that no longer lock, because no one dares close them. To do so would be to trap something in, or worse, to keep it out. Time has tried to bury the story beneath concrete and commerce. New shops rise around the ruins, their walls painted bright as if to deny the darkness they flank. Tourists pass without noticing. But the locals still know. They cross the street without looking. They avoid eye contact with the old balcony, where something is said to watch. And every month, the ritual returns, silent, relentless. The 23rd, 2:13 a.m. You won't read about it in newspapers. But ask any rickshaw driver after midnight, and they'll tell you. That's when the wind dies. That's when the streetlights flicker, not off, but inward like they've been sucked. That's when the mist rises from the bones of the Haveli, curling like fingers around the alley walls. And that's when the voice comes. Khan hai, mera naam lena wala? No longer a whisper. Now it's something deeper, ancient, mournful, full of longing and rage. Some say it's not a voice at all, but a memory-made sound. There are those who tempt fate. Teenagers dares each other to say her name aloud in front of the gate. They laugh, throw stones, take photos. They don't laugh long. A girl went missing in April. A delivery boy vanished in June. And just last month, a man claimed he heard someone walking behind him, barefoot, slow, and dragging something, though the alley was empty. The pattern is always the same. Say her name. She answers. And something changes. They say she doesn't kill out of hate, but hunger. A need to be remembered. A price paid not in blood, but in presence. So go ahead. Stand before the ruins. Say the name. Zohra. Just be ready when the voice returns the question. Khan hai, mera naam lena wala? And this time, it knows your name.